Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode. I'm Nadia and I'm sitting here with Chase today.
That's me.
There you go.
That's me.
Alright. So, Chase, how about you introduce yourself? What do you do? Who are you?
So I'm Chase Maccini. I own and operate the Sneaker Laundry here in Melbourne and also Sydney, I guess you would say, but mainly the Melbourne location. So anytime that you see this logo anywhere, my face is probably right behind it.
How long have you been running it?
Far out. We've been doing this now for almost 6 years.
Wow.
It's going to be 6 years now. Like, pretty crazy to go from where we started to where we are now.
Where did you start?
593 Little Lonsdale Street with a team of like 4.
Yeah?
Yeah, we only had 4 people, and like half of the team didn't even know how to clean sneakers. And what's crazy is that we all didn't even really know each other up until that point. So like our first day of getting to know each other was actually our first day working together too. How fucked.
That's insane. So how do you then manage that? You know, different personalities, working with people you don't necessarily mesh with. How do you cope with that?
Well, that's what like led me into like the more like mindset side of things of my content that I post, like, because I'm obviously the Sneaker Laundry and stuff like that, but if you jump on my personal stuff, you'll see me giving you life advice. But it was one of those moments where we all kind of realized that we stepped away from a 9-to-5, we stepped away from security, and out of all the failed relationships I had, none of them ever taught me to get to know someone for who they are more than like the idea that if we don't understand each other and how to operate with one another, then we're all going to lose out. So yeah, it was really like a big psychology moment. Like I started like really looking into things like love languages and like how people operate, how to approach people, how like also perceptions and things like that. Like when someone's speaking to you about their perception, that you actually technically can't have an opinion because it's not your perception. You're just meant to listen. Like you can rebuttal and stuff like that, but you know, up until those moments, those were just arguments for me. And then like, see you later, never talk to you again. But if we had that moment in the very beginning, this wouldn't be happening. We wouldn't be doing anything. I'd probably still be driving a forklift. No thanks. I really don't want to do that again. Like, yeah, it's pretty intense. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. So then, is that the most challenging thing you'd say in starting up a business, or is there something that's a little bit more challenging than that?
I would say the maintaining of it is challenging because not every business is going to start off like that. A lot of people will wake up like 15 years into a friendship and realize that they want to start a business with their best friend that they've been friends with their whole life. And you don't need to do much navigating there. Like maybe you've never worked with that person, so yeah, that like some steps would be in the very beginning and stuff like that, but overall you would have an idea for who this person is and you wouldn't have to go through that, but then you would lead to maintaining it.
Yep.
So no matter what, I think the maintaining of it, so once you get to that point, if you don't just like any relationship, if you don't maintain the grass that's on your side, the grass that's on the other side is always going to look greener because you're not focused on what's actually here. You're not grateful for what you have at your actual feet at your disposal to help prop up a business, and you're too worried about what everyone else is doing.
Do you think it's important to have good people around you though?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Even one, you know, if you've got a team of 5, right, and you've got one person in there that doesn't pull their weight, by default, you've got 5 unproductive people. And it has nothing to do with like your personal level of productivity, my personal level. It's just that when you break tasks off into like areas where you delegate it to different people, even if one person doesn't get their job done on time, none of you's got the job done. So it's like, yeah, if the people around you aren't like-minded, you will be stagnant.
So what do you do in that situation? Do you take a step back? Do you fire that person?
No, I don't think firing is ever like the answer right away, of course. Because like, you know, I always look at it as the same as like any type of relationship. I'm going to probably touch down on that a fair bit here. Like, if you're with someone and you really like them, at the first sign of some sort of disagreement or friction, you just don't discard them. That's not okay to do to a person, the same way it's not okay to do to your employees. So that's where I kind of insert like the whole like love language thing. You know, love language is important in your business relationships the same way it is in your romantic ones. If you understand what these people respond to, then you can approach them and get answers. So if someone's who normally pulls their weight has a week where they're not pulling their weight, the answer is definitely not to fire them. It's to have a conversation with them. Maybe pull them out of the shop, bring them to lunch, have a sit down, find out what's going on in their personal life, because we all had a personal life before we had a business life. And if your personal life is in shambles, guaranteed your business life is in shambles too. So I tend to take myself out of the operation and into their personal space just to see what I can even help them with. And that tends to be pretty good, especially like retaining employees and stuff like that. It works pretty well because, like we were just in the shop earlier, and I can tell you the majority of things about Ian.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to get to know Ian and we're both there, it wouldn't matter like who's talking. I know a lot about him. He knows a lot about me. He obviously knows a lot about himself too, but like you'll get the same answer from Ian in relation to his personality as you would from me if I was speaking about Ian, because I took that time to actually get to know the boy.
So like essentially Sneaker Laundry is one big happy family.
One big family for sure.
Yeah.
Like just like any family, like happy is definitely a word I'd use to describe it at times, but just like any other family, like I'm not going to be the type of person to sit down in a camera ever and say that this is all glitz and glamour. Like we have our arguments. We have our moments where it feels like you're being let down. You have moments where you feel like you're letting other people down and things like that. But at the end of the day, that family aspect of it is something that I never lose sight of. And you would know that from Throwback Lounge. Like from the day I met everyone at Throwback Lounge, I was like, no, I'm here. Anything that anyone needs, I don't care what time of day it is, call my phone. You need a ride home? Cool, I'm here. You need me to go grab milk at Woolies? I'm here. Like I don't just land in spaces with people, even in business or personal, and just allow it to be that. Like I tend to adopt the people that I surround myself with to get the best results out of them, because I want to see if you're my friend and if you're my employee and you're working at Sneaker Laundry, you're also my friend. And I cannot tolerate my friends not doing incredible things because we're all capable of it.
Yeah.
So you take note.
No, it's a great thing to hear, and I have that with my own team as well, so it's good to be family. What are the kind of highlights of working at Sneaker Laundry then?
In terms of like my own personal life, it's garnished me a fair bit of freedom. Like I'm still working 100%, but when I say freedom, like I choose to work in this office all the time, but if I just wanted to pack my bags and go to Dubai for a month, I could work there too. So it's garnished me like that bit of freedom, but I also offer all of our employees that same like level of freedom. So like if you came in as a store manager, for example, I tell all my store managers that have come on board, like, hey, if you can get this place running without you having to be here, I will pay you to not be here. Like you can literally call out of your shifts, you can do whatever you want, as long as the operation's getting done and you set it up that way, you get your freedom. And you're going to get paid for it, because that's how we all went. Even like Eugene got to that point too. Like we always used to have to come in here and do proper hard yards, and now it's like, oh, you know what? Like Nadia wants to do a shoot on Friday. Cool. I can actually just go in and carve that time out, and I don't got to ask that permission to anyone. So that's like a big benefit that's also offered to anyone that works at the Sneaker Laundry too. Obviously, there's like a ladder that you got to climb. You can't just come in on your first day and be like, I heard that you pay people to not be here. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't even know your name, G. So like, until I see what you can do and what you're capable of, then like everyone comes in proper equal opportunity. A lot of places say that, not many places mean it. I'm sure KFC says equal opportunity too, but their turnover rate on employees is shocking. So
yeah, for sure. And then what's your advice to someone that wants that freedom too? Do they have to necessarily step out of their 9 to 5 to get that, or
no?
Starting their own business?
That's a good question.
Where's the line there? How do you get to your freedom? How do you reach that?
Well, truthfully, it all comes down to mindset.
Yeah.
So if you look at a 9 to 5 job, not you, so like you, if you look at your 9 to 5 job and you think that you're trapped, that's what you are. That's what you are. So for me, I'll give you my personal experience. I worked at Toll Priority for like almost 10 years. And for the longest time, I felt like I was trapped there. And then I started getting the recognition for cleaning sneakers. And then immediately once I realized that, oh wait, I don't have to wait for my paycheck to make money. I can literally just take jobs and clean shoes. My 9 to 5 in my mind went from a place that I have to be to a place that just pays my bills while I'm building a legacy. And then one day I just up and left Toll Priority, and they all saw it coming. They were all just like, no, we knew this was going to happen. But I never once looked at Toll Priority as something that was holding me back. I looked at it as something that was there for, like, I don't need to work for Toll Priority. I made Toll Priority work for me, right? And yeah, granted, I was still going in there, firing up that forklift and getting sweaty and dirty and, you know, loading planes up and doing all that, like, real, like, trash work. But never once did I feel like I was doing this for someone else. I felt like I'm coming here to earn my money so my rent can get paid so I can still have this room to make my videos.
Yeah.
I was free when I was working at Toll. It's all up here.
It's
A lot of people are
online.
like, and don't get me wrong, like money is definitely a big part of it. Like you need, like, despite opinions on it, like we need money to do things. All right, like if you wanted to go get lunch after this, for example, and you showed up with no money, you're not getting lunch.
Yeah.
It's a nice thought, but you need the money to, you know, complete that idea. And yeah, a lot of people think that money is freedom, but like, gee, I've got like $5,000 in my bank account,
Yeah.
you know, with no savings. You mean to tell me that money is happiness? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm happier now with like $5,000 sitting in my bank account than I ever was at Toll Priority. I was making like $150K a year at Toll Priority.
Wow.
I don't make $150K a year anymore, and I'm 10 times happier than I was when I was working at Toll. So I think it all comes down to mindset. It's are you a victim or are you not? Like, do you feel like you have to be here? And like, you know, it blows my mind when people think that they have to be at a job. Like, who held a gun to your head and make you go on Seek.com? Who held a gun to your head and make you go take that interview? Like, these are all decisions that we make as an individual, and then somehow these people still land on, I'm a victim. It's like, far out. Pretend being a victim of your own decisions.
Yeah.
You can't. So if you got a victim mindset, you'll never be free.
Do you think it's fear though, holding people back instead of it being
Always.
a victim mentality? Maybe they're just scared.
Always. Fear is one of the like most potent fuels that your body could use, but it can propel you either way. You know, like fear tends to trigger that fight or flight, and that's exactly what it is. Are you going to fight for what it is that you want, or are you going to run the other way with your tail tucked between your legs and go straight back to punching the clock? And not that it's wrong to punch the clock by any means, but it's a common trend amongst people, especially in this community. Like even with the panels that we did at Throwback Lounge, like so many people were like, oh, like how do I get away from my 9 to 5? And I would sit there just being like, why do you want to get away from it? Like that's your pool right there for you to go chase what you want. Like why wouldn't you just use them the way that they use you?
Yeah.
Just flip the script. Like, okay, cool. Like, you work at a place like KFC, I promise you doing the bare minimums, you're still getting paid. You know, you can't come to the sneaker laundry and do the bare minimum. So it's like 100%. Take that monetary avenue where you're doing next to nothing and still getting like your 20, 40 hours a week. Do as little work as possible on those jobs, knowing that you're about to be a massive dynasty and you're going to be working for yourself. You don't need a job reference when you work for yourself. No one's going to call the KFC that you know, used.
Yeah.
To pay your bills and stuff like that. When you get up and ready to leave, you're about to go embark on your own business. So what are you going to call KFC yourself and go, hey, what kind of an employee was I? Oh, you were pretty shit. Okay, maybe I shouldn't do this. Like, no, you're calling no one. You're going to go, thank you for all these paychecks. See you later.
Yeah.
And you'll never talk to the colonel a day in your life. I don't even eat KFC anymore. So, like,
Just a side note, why don't you eat KFC?
because I remember when the popcorn chicken was crispy and not like rubber pellets. I'm pretty sure they use them for airsoft now. Yeah, KFC popcorn chicken. I'm pretty sure they put them in the airsoft guns.
No.
Yeah, it's like Orbeez. It's like eating Orbeez.
It's so gross.
It's true. Am I wrong? KFC popcorn chicken, Orbeez. Would you guys just soak this in water overnight and fucking serve it to me? But yeah.
So I think a lot of people would think the sneaker business is hard to get into or hard to tap into. What do you say to that?
You're right. You're absolutely right. You can't just show up and not like put yourself in the community and expect people to respect you. So like, I think one big thing that I have, or like one big difference that I personally have that a lot of other people like don't in the sneaker cleaning industry is that like my face, and no ego, no pun intended, no ego, but like my face was around these parts long before I was on YouTube. You know, like I was showing up to events and walking around, and then next thing you know, I was like, all right, I can do something with this. So like a lot of people want to skip steps. Like you've got to actually put yourself into these places. You know, like Throwback Lounge was a really good meeting place for a lot of people that like wanted to come in and to a community. And yeah, you might be in your community in another state and stuff like that, but it's not here. Melbourne's a very different, even to Sydney, even though it's like borders on New South Wales, the moment you clear over into Sydney, it's a totally different game, completely different game. So I would say that it is pretty hard because you've got, it's no matter what, when it comes to cleaning sneakers, whether you like it or not, it's a community-backed business. Like you have to look after the community in order for them to look after you. The moment that you insert greed into this, or the moment that it looks like, it might not even be the case, because remember, perception's everything. So the moment that it even looks like you're only in it for the money, people will abandon you and leave you to your own devices. I've seen consignment shops go completely under as a result of that. And it all because they, I don't want to say turned their back on the community, but turned away from the community to focus on their own thing when it was the community that got them to this place for them to even turn around in the first place. So you've got to have a good reputation. You've got to actually know what you're doing when it comes to sneakers. Like, nobody wants to walk into the sneaker laundry or even a consignment shop and, like, would you walk into a Foot Locker and talk to someone who didn't know anything about shoes?
No, not if I wanted to buy a good pair of shoes.
Yeah, like, you actually have to know what you're talking about. And reselling shoes doesn't mean you know about shoes. Like, knowing about the market of sneakers and actually knowing about sneakers, because the people that I clean shoes for, they know about the history, right? And then the people that I, like the resellers that I clean shoes for, they only know about the price. Those aren't my people. It's the people that actually come in and they're like, you know, like what I mentioned in the reel about like cleaning shoes that had like Tinker Hatfield's autograph on it. That's history right there. That's like the guy who created pretty much every Air Jordan model that's available for us to purchase today.
Yeah.
And some people see that history and then some people see the price tag. If you want to open up a sneaker cleaning business and you want it to go far, cater to the people that see the history. Don't cater to the people that see the price tag because, like, yeah, they're selling that shoe now, but they're going to sell bottles of Prime next month because that's where the price tag has headed, you know?
Yeah.
And Prime's not a part of the sneaker community.
So then, how do people get involved in the community if the community is so tight-knit into themselves?
Oh, I mean, look, I come from a community that's more tight-knit than any community that anyone could ever come from in the Boston hardcore scene. So I'm going to explain it from that stance. Show up. Ego Expo. Right? So Ego Expo might not be like sneakers community entirely, but it's massively behind the sneaker community. Like Mel and Adele, well, Madel, they came to the Kickstand event.
Yeah.
They showed face. You know what I mean? So like events like the Ego Expo, events like even like Throwback Lounge, where we're honoring like the 90s, where streetwear and like sneakers and stuff like that were starting to gain traction. Like, show up and introduce yourself. I met so many people that I had no idea were a part of the community at Throwback Lounge. So the easiest way, just like Boston Hardcore, if you don't show up and show your face for people to actually recognize you, so you might show up to your first event and not talk to anybody, but like, I don't walk around and just talk to random strangers. But after a couple events, you might be like, oh, hey, like, I've noticed you've been coming around here a lot. And the next thing you know, you're having a talk with like one of the founders of Ego Expo. And that's
Yeah.
how easy it is. Like, just show up. Like, and show the community that you will show up. Like, look at Omar, for example. When Omar says that I'll be there to build your shelves, does he show up and build the shelves?
A little bit late, but he shows.
Yeah, he's still showing up. I'm still waiting for my door. But hey, no, but it's things like that. You know,
Yeah.
like, no matter how busy our lives get, we have proven time and time again that we show up for the community, which also props up our reputation. And now I know that word of mouth, if anyone ever asked you about me, I've got a good reference right here and vice versa. So my name and like Ego Expo name, Nadia's name and stuff like that is getting carried in a positive light no matter what, because you've shown up to these rooms and you've put your reputation out there for people to see. But there's no such thing as internet warriors in this community. Like, if you can't just be hiding behind TikToks, anonymous TikToks and posting mean comments.
Anyway, so the next question I was going to ask. It felt like that was a jab, Chase.
Oh, I don't box.
No. I'll meet you outside later. I guess another thing I wanted to ask was, we've spoke about, I guess, the challenges and the successes. What's one last piece of advice you can give to someone that's wanting to start a business, is starting it, but just doesn't know where to go from there, doesn't know the voice of their brand or anything like that? What's one piece of advice that you could give?
Keep living. Because I'm going to be real, when I was starting off on YouTube, I didn't know what my brand was for the longest time. I didn't even know who I was for the longest time. So I would just say, like, keep on living and keep on observing your own thoughts and things like that, because a lot of the time a thought will enter into your mind, and if you don't act upon it, it's only a matter of time before it ends up in someone else's mind. But there's a reason why it ended up in your mind in the first place, because you have what it takes to execute that, and that's where fear comes in, right?
Yeah.
So I would say more life experience, and don't be afraid of uncomfortable conversations, especially the ones that you're supposed to be having with yourself. Like, a lot of people, like how many people want to get into the clothing industry?
A lot.
It's like, do you do you really want to get into the clothing industry, or is that just the easiest thing to think of right now? Have you actually thought about what you want to do? Like, my thing is if you're approaching a business but you have no idea what it is that you want to do in terms of your brand and stuff like that, just film content surrounding it. That's it. Like, a lot of there's two things there. It can either be, one, you're not supposed to be doing it because, like, when you have a vision, it all kind of comes together.
Yeah.
Or two, you just genuinely don't know how to approach it, but you've got the talent, you've got the skill. You know, like, not trying to call him out, love him to death, but like Chase Shield is someone who is very, very good at what he does, but he struggled with the content side of things for a bit. And as a result, it was like, all right, well, like, you're struggling with the content, just post it. And that's exactly what took him to the places that he needed to be. He had no idea with how he wanted to approach his brand, so he started filming the process of what he's doing. Next thing you know, millions of views on his reels. Just for no talking, nothing, literally just randomly chooses a song on Instagram, off you go. Content is going to be your way out of stagnant thought processes. Film content, because it forces you to think, no matter what. Like, it forces you to think. If you're good at what you do, film yourself. Like, these guys are really good at cameras and like filming and stuff like that, so if they don't know how to approach it aside from a portfolio, I would have someone filming behind the scenes on this. So then they can actually see like how they operate, and you can actually go back and watch these videos and like look at the expressions on your face. There are many times that I like didn't realize that I was this passionate about shoes until I would go back and watch the footage of me cleaning it, and I'm like, fuck, I've smiled for 20 straight minutes, guys. Like, I haven't smiled for 20 minutes my whole life. And then I've got like an accumulation of 20 minutes in one video. And it's like, if it's not making you smile, if it's not driving you out of your seat with motivation, it's probably not the right path. So if you don't know what to do with your business, it's probably not the business you should be approaching.
There you go. Well, you heard it hopefully first here on Ego News with Chase. Thanks, guys. Hope you stay tuned for the next episode.
I heard Floyd Mayweather's going to be there.
Ooh.
Ooh.